Okay, the first time I was here, I promised to upload poetic content here for my viewers to kind of explore, read through, or listen to it, and make your own judgment and comments. And please do subscribe to this channel so that we can build up a great community, a community we can liaise with each other and have a great conversation and be great thinkers and move forward. My first poem here is like posting because of a lot of things that are going on in the society right now and in the world in general. If you look at most parts of the world, especially the countries that are referred to as third world, a lot of things that happen. The leaders are not leading the countries in the right directions, and the youth, the Gen Z youths, are kind of beginning to be aware of the situations going on around them, and they are flagging every situation down and taking actions. Some of them are taking matters into their hands. Recently, we saw what happened in Kenya, and after Kenya, I believe Uganda was trying to step up something like that. I'm not sure if it was shut down. Then now it's the turn of Nigeria to carry out that same process. The process of protesting is democratic. We all understand that. And in a democratic dispensation, the citizens are allowed to protest if things are not going the right way, or if the elected officials are not doing what the citizens want, then they can protest that. And that doesn't mean that they shall engage in mayhem, causing destruction on their path. And the leaders too should be able to engage the youth in meaningful conversation and try to turn things around, because when things like this begin to happen, that's when situations begin to build up, and before you know what's going on, these youths are capable of running people out of town. We saw what happened in the Arab Springs some years back when the four Arab countries, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, and one other country, Bahrain, I believe, and it spilled over to Kuwait, took into the streets of their various countries and ran their leaders out of town. So if we're not careful, things like that are going to happen in Africa, and it's going to disrupt the democracy that they've been building for years. So without further ado, I'm going to go into the first poem that I said I was going to upload here, and Actions of a Hungry Man. When we think of danger, our minds often wander to ferocious beasts like lions. However, there exists a more formidable force, the actions of a hungry man. Unchecked desire and desperation can drive individuals to commit devastating acts, surpassing even the most fearsome predators. The hunger-driven mindset. A hungry man consumed by his primal urge for sustenance can become a force to be reckoned with. His focus narrows and his actions become singularly directed towards acquiring food, no matter the cost. This fixation can lead to reckless decisions, causing harm to himself and those around him. Deadly consequences. History has witnessed countless instances where hunger-driven actions have led to catastrophic outcomes. From looting and rioting to violence and even cannibalism, the consequences of unchecked hunger can be dire. The actions of a hungry man can lead to the destruction of communities. Hunger-fueled chaos can ravage societies, leaving destructions and despair in its wake. Claim lives, desperation can drive individuals to commit heinous crimes, resulting in loss of life and irreparable harm. It could spark conflict, competition, or scarce resources. Competition for scarce resources can ignite conflicts, escalating into full-blown wars. While a raging lion poses a significant threat, the actions of a hungry man can be far more deadly. Unchecked desire and desperation can unleash a maelstrom of destruction, surpassing even the most ferocious beasts. It is crucial to address the root cause of hunger and provide support to those in need, lest we face the devastating consequences of a hungry man's action. So now, what this is all about is, you see, a hungry man can be likened to a dog that serves his master. A dog can be loyal to you and serve you diligently and do whatever you want him to do. But that doesn't mean that you will take advantage of this dog. Could be a pet dog, could be a guard dog, or whatever kind of dog you have in your domesticating. Don't take advantage of it. And there's a proverb that says, when you feed a dog, don't pull its tail. It's don't be the fact that if you keep pulling its tail, one day it's going to turn around and bite you. You see, that's what society is handing out to youths today. The resurgence of protests in countries in Africa now is not something is surprising, because if you look at the situation and things going on in Africa recently, or from a couple of years back, we saw the francophone countries of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso changed leadership, and when they changed leadership ferociously, they took over, and things began to turn around for their citizenship. Well, if the trend is building like that, and other African leaders are not cognizant of what's going on like that, it could spill into other countries, the Anglophone countries, like we're seeing what's going on in Nigeria currently. It's probably spill over to Cameroon, Gambia, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, the Republic of Benin. We're not really sure where this thing's going to go. It could swing anywhere. The pendulum can swing to any part of the world, of Africa. And believe you me, the Nigerian situation is a very complex one, because I do not know what country in Africa that can handle the Nigerian Nigerian refugee situation. If anything happens and Nigeria descends into total chaos and anarchy, I don't know what country in Africa that will be able to sustain the Nigerian refugee situation. And believe it or not, if Nigeria breaks up today, there's going to be a whole lot of challenge for other African countries to be able to hold the continent together, because believe it or not, Nigeria is a formidable force in the African continent. Irrespective of its economic situation right now, it's still a formidable force, whether you like it or not. That's the truth. It's come a long way. It's only about 64 years of independence, and in this 64 years, I think the masses only enjoyed about 1 day of independence, because the country was hijacked on the 2nd of October 1960, after they gained independence from the colonial masters in Britain. The country was hijacked by the people that were put in place to govern and lead the country in the right direction. Well, most times we sit here and kind of throw blows and blames across to the colonial masters. Well, they have their blames, yeah, we understand that, but most part now, we are at the hands of affairs. What are we doing to make things better for our people? So if you're sitting on the ham of affairs and you're controlling the government or the people, or you're leading the country, engage in meaningful conversations with your citizenship or citizenry. Be accountable to whatever actions that you take, because these are the things that infuriate the people, and they come after you. Because if you do not engage them in meaningful conversations or give them accounts of how or what your government is doing, how you're ruling, and how things are going, that is where things get into the point that it escalates into violence or chaos or protests. And normally we have seen protests in parts of Africa and the Middle East. They don't end well. See, at the end of the day, they're going to be casualties, and it's usually on the path of the protesters. So what is there is that every government that is on the, so every African country, every government in Africa should learn from the mistakes of the others and be able to correct them before things get out of control and out of hand. Because if it does, you're putting the life of the protesters in danger, because the military will now begin to be trigger happy and shouldn't, because they have the weapons to do so, and the course of intimidation will begin to take place, and the masses will be the ones that will be at the receiving end of the whole thing. So my suggestions is for every African leader to give account of their actions or what they do, and make sure that they put in a lot of resources or put in a lot of capital into their resources and build a nation, build their countries, build their their human resources, invest in their humans, invest in hospitals, and the welfare of their citizens, so that these people may not have cause to complain. Because if you don't invest in your citizens, that's the reason for them to complain. And if they complain, it degenerates into situations where, if you can't manage that situations, it will be overblown. And then when it's overblown, that's when you have chaos all over the place, and that's not what you want. And in the next 4 years, you're coming back for re-election, and if you're not re-elected, or you begin to find a way to get into the ruling administration so that you can find a way, and the corrupt elites are recycled, we all know. So it's gonna take a lot to rid those people out of their current political dispensations that Africa is trying to build up. See, in my opinion, I think anybody over 60 years old shouldn't be in the light of politics in Africa, because those people are just corrupt. They can't, and even the younger ones too. I can't say that the younger ones are not going to be corrupt, but I think they know the way forward. The world is completely digital, and anybody at the age of 65 to 70 years old, they are actually thrown off this greed. They have no idea what analog is, what the digital age is. They just go by what the people around them. Okay, they have people that know about the computers, about technologies, and get to them. But they, on their own, don't know nothing about technology. They don't know anything that's going on. They just focus on how. Well, I think all they know is kind of click and send. The click and send, meaning that What I'm trying to say is click and send meaning how to launder funds to offshore accounts overseas. It's only what they know, and so most of the times too, they have people doing that for them on commissions. This things they just that it's open. Everybody knows what they're doing. And most African countries, corruption is just you can take it with your hands open. Whereas in places like the United States, Canada, and all of the countries, all the Western world, it's behind the back. See, so you go to some African countries and you walk into an office, you ask to see somebody in the office, maybe a high-ranking personnel, and the people expecting you to give a tip before they usher you in to see this person, which is not right. And you can't just sit down and condemn those people for their actions. The reason they're doing those things based on what's going on. See, corruption is not, it trickles down. So when you start from the top, it goes down to the middle, the second tier, first tier, and the bottom. So that's how I classify it. The bottom, the first tier, the second tier, the third tier, and the top. So you can just break it down in 5 places. And that's how corruption is built. So it's a lot of people don't understand that when you dealing with corrupt people, nothing that you say actually bites into their system. They don't care. While you're speaking, trying to correct them of their mistakes, they are thinking of how they can embezzle more. They can get more out of the reason why they're there. It's not for the masses. It's not for the people. The reason why they're there is how they can launder funds to offshore accounts and all that. See? So the best approach is peaceful protest. Yes. I do not endorse mayhem or causing chaos in the process of protesting for your rights, for what's right for you. See, in Africa, the average African citizen is accorded the rights to vote. It does not have the right to protest, because the leaders already see your protest as a form of agitation to plan or carry out an insurrection. So they do not like that. And if you're a smart thinking human being, it gets to some point where you have to draw the line. But at this point, when you push people to the wall, and the pressure will make them push back. And that's why most of these African countries now are facing all these problems from their citizens. And you can't blame them. You can't blame them. Somebody graduates from college who's supposed to be out there working and making money or earning a living to sustain themselves, is back home after college, living with his or her parents. You live with your parents for a number of years. That is, I put it this way, you graduate from college and retire until you find something. Maybe 10 years after graduating from college, you find something that will probably be sustaining your day-to-day living, not a long-term sustainability. It's not something that you can make savings out of. Then 10 years after you get out of college, you get a job. 15 years after that, you're built for retirement with no savings. How do you explain that to your kids? Daddy doesn't have no savings for them. Daddy can't account for nothing for them. Don't even own a car. The car is not a priority. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. It could be a priority in some cases, get you from one point to the other, depending on where you're stationed and where you're working. But if you can manage without a car, well, that's fine too. But you work your whole life and have nothing to show for it. It's not going to be the best results you get when you retire. So appealing to the protesters out there in all parts of every part of the world, that we should kind of be ready to dialogue with those leaders that are in there, if they're ready to talk and make sure that all demands are met. Otherwise, it's not. If the demands are not met today, things are still going to be where they are, and you're not going to move forward. So let us be cautious in our actions, so that we do not create more problems for the society that we are. Well, that's my first take on this channel, and I'll be back with more contents as we go on every other day, or like I say, anytime I get a little chance, I will upload some contents. And for those of you who are able to subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much for doing that, and come back again and read more contents or listen to more contents from me. And everything that I do here, every content that I post or that you hear, and my contents that I wrote, and I can take a minute to sit down and write something. It just comes up to me just like that. I don't struggle over it. And so if that's at this point, I'll say just one love, and I will be back again with another great content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again.